Well, evening folks, we are trying to get out of this tight spot here. Exhausting, exhausting, exhausting. That's the theme of my couple days. Whew. I think I was up without sleep for 22 hours maybe. Something like that. Pretty wild. Slept about 5 hours and then one on the plane. 6 minimum, that's the rule. As long as I've got my 6 hours, I will function, or I will nap until I have had it. Let's see, get out of here. So, a reservation. L-U-C-E. Yep. You too, thank you. I don't understand how I could land so long ago and just now be leaving. It's a long process just to get from the airport to. Speaking of long airport waits, I have a conspiracy theory involving the TSA and Clear. Once again, Clear was all up in my business, asking me to join them. And I think that they have been doing things to manipulate the pre-check line in order to make people more attracted to Clear, is what I think. And I think that there are some overlaps. I don't know if the floor lease with the airport facilities, maybe they share in revenue, the TSA and I don't have my seatbelt on. TSA and Clear, maybe the lease, has a revenue share arrangement. Maybe they're paying off the clerks to slow things down a little bit. But the pre-check line was longer than the regular line, at least it appeared to be. Again, appearance. And as you're waiting, you have all these Clear employees saying, you can skip this line right now. Come with us. If you have an American Express card, it doesn't even cost you anything. Well, that's not true. I have at least 2 American Express cards, and neither one of them give me that. The only card that would do that is going to be high annual fee card, right? Where you pay $1,000 or something or more for the platinum special American Express, right? At that point, you paid for Clear anyway, right? And then they get your data in their system. So obviously, they're trying to trick people and give them a free trial. I've been offered a free trial. I've even been getting spam emails. Somehow pushing Clear Plus. I don't know if there's a difference between Clear and Clear Plus. I don't care. What I did notice is that Clear was understaffed, and they had a line too. So I don't know what their end game here is. There's only so many people and machines that they can put outside security to get people skipping the line. Is Clear. Oh, here's a big one. maybe Clear is in a data sharing arrangement with the TSA. Whoa, ho, ho. How else could they do it? There has to be a formal arrangement where Clear says, okay, our people have been verified, and we're going to use biometric technology, which now a lot of the security is doing. Now they're making me scan my own ID card, and now they want to take a photo of me, and I don't like that. I think they're taking a photo of me. They make you stand in front of a camera like the DMV, except they're doing a facial something or other analysis to the photo image of me, and that is going to be the next step for identifying me when I'm walking down the street on surveillance cameras. I mean, that's where this is going. And you know, you're on the grid. Where's this data? Where was my consent to have my photo taken and used in this way? Why don't I own that? Why does the government get to have that? I'm very uncomfortable with this whole thing. They just say, as a condition of entering, you can't fly on a plane now unless you let your picture get taken by the TSA. And I don't know when this was going to launch. I don't recall hearing about this in any news. I read some news. I mean, I've heard of Real ID. Real ID took effect last year, I think. I don't know why now we need Real ID plus some scan of my face to verify who I am. Now, if we want to give the benefit of the doubt, maybe this technology is designed to remove the human error element from using identification cards and that subjective choice that goes into, is this person who they say they are on the ID, right? Is this a phony ID? Well, I guess a phony ID, obviously Real ID catches that, and then the photo is still going to be a photo of you, right? I suppose it's just on it's the information elsewhere that's the phony part. We are in a choppy traffic here. Technically, I'm taking this guy off behind me, but I'm still passing, so. This person is driving just fast enough to annoy me. And you've got the semi. Now this guy's going way too slow. Gosh darn it. You almost want to flash your lights and yeah, there he goes, flying off. I suppose if I wasn't so exhausted, I might drive a little faster. Well, so that was my big rub today. Other than I woke up this morning and I didn't want to be where I was at all. Didn't have any real important meetings. And I turned down lunch, which was the right decision. I was in a grumpy mood. My nap helped a lot. I didn't get that until late afternoon. I mean, I would have paid good hard cash to get out of town. If somebody said, I got a jet over here right now, let's go, I would have done it. That would have been kind of funny because not many people who fly on jets park in the economy bus station parking. Quite a headache to get back to the was my headspace. Lots to do. Blood test, I think, later tomorrow. Question is, should I start fasting now? Or should I just let the test be the test and then retest after fasting at another time? I think the best time to have your blood drawn is to go probably right when you wake up in the morning. Your blood sugar is nice and low, and you can just sip some water and then go have your lab drawn. I didn't think about it, but I think I'm seeing a female doctor, and I think that's okay, and I hadn't really considered that. I haven't been to a female primary care physician since I was a child. I don't have any issues with it. Obviously, I booked the appointment without thinking about the issue. But then I thought, well, there is one male doctor in the practice group. People divide them off, females see females and males see males. I don't know. I've done something interesting, something different. I just wanted to shake it up a little bit. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think part of the physical is you get touched in a lot of places, put it that way. I don't think I've been touched by a female who's not my wife. There's some issues, some Mike Pence style issues to unpack here that I really haven't thought about. I really know what the doctors look like or anything. I didn't really pay attention. But is this something that might upset the person? I don't partner, I gotta think that one through. I don't have an answer right now. Obviously, open communication is the immediate solution. Make sure it's okay by my partner. That's going to be, and if not, then I'll cancel the appointment. How about that? But it's, obviously, I think that there was a time when women probably had trouble being doctors, and I'm all supportive of that. I have no issues with that. I certainly let them be a surgeon or a specialist or anything. In fact, I had my surgery done by a female doctor. It's not that I have issues with that. It's just that the nature of an annual physical and things gives me pause a little bit. Something I hadn't encountered before. Definitely some new ideas and thoughts. I think I've touched on this before, but there's a black box inside every Tesla that is filming everything around it. And there are differing approaches to they saved. If they're saving data. Eventually it will reset itself, but certain items, depending on the size of the hard drive, the model, and all of that, how new it is. I want to say, they said there's about a terabyte of storage, which, you know, for HD video. Okay, here's what's interesting that I thought. They have a camera that watches inwardly. I think it's in the rearview mirror or something. So I wonder why these things are so expensive to repair. So there's a camera that watches the driver, and it actually logs time that you spend looking at the road and time that you don't. And it's using this for, I'm certain it's using that data for various user improvements. In other words, if we're looking at, you know, what can this data tell us on a macro scale about human behavior, about driving, how best to implement autonomous driving, which is what they probably want. Because once they get it, if they can get there, they'll have complete control and ownership. They don't want to be an average car. They don't want to be a competitor with Hyundai. They want to be their thing. Our Chargers, our way. We're the future. And I'll find it good, but how much privacy will people trade for the ability to drive a Tesla? They're already paying something like $20 a month just to subscribe and have app services and various other. That's just the price. That's the cover charge to the party right there, let alone the cost of the car. So you're paying every month for that. It probably includes internet and different connectivity things. And potentially cloud storage. I think it probably does include cloud storage. Tesla says that the data stored on the onboard hard drive is not, quote, all updated to the cloud. Obviously, the cloud probably can't economically support that volume of storage. Not without somebody else paying for it. But what is going to the cloud and what is not is an interesting question that we don't know the answer to. Tesla now. Filming me as it drives by. It will take an image of my car. Okay, it's not a Tesla, my bad. It looked like one. I think it's electric, Chevrolet. Headlights look just like it. I don't know what it's like to be buying a brand new small car. I know they're trying to have the war for affordability in vehicles today is just, it's almost a lost battle. I mean, I don't know how you can affordably buy a new car with all the regulations that go into car manufacturing, let alone the buying power, Achilles heel of the interest rates. I mean, I have top-notch credit, and I did not get a good interest rate. I got better than a lot of people get. I mean, it's the best rate you can get right now, but it was not ideal at all. I mean, it was, it was the best. I mean, they gave me a good deal. I shouldn't say it was a bad deal, but it was. It's certainly something that has me thinking about refinancing in the future, get a credit line of the amount that I owe on the car and do, okay, I'm going to think out loud here. I'm obviously very exhausted, not thinking clearly. But if I could do sort of a balance transfer check or something like that, I usually pay a fee of 3%, alright? Which is less than the interest rate on my car loan. I'm just thinking this way. So what if I did a balance transfer or something on a credit card that had a 0% interest rate? I'd pay a 3% hit on the money, and then I would have the entire term of the 0% card, sometimes 18 months or so, 12, 18 months, to pay the money back. But it would be unsecured. They couldn't come take the car if I didn't pay the credit card back. They wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Now, realistically, are they going to let me write that check? Probably not. Not in that high of a balance. I could come up with that through my credit lines, but not on one single account. That's too much risk for a single bank to take on. And I can do it for $10,000 probably, but not probably much more than that. There's probably a cap limit to that. And then, of course, you run into the problem of you don't pay it or you can't pay it or whatever. So then you're getting hit with these 20% interest rates or something. One of the things that I saw when I worked in the credit card industry was what's called charging off. Charging off was when the account was, I don't have a precise definition of charging off, but essentially the debt was no longer accruing the 20% contract interest rate for whatever reason. And I don't know if someone just calls up and says, I'm not going to pay this, I can't pay, can you request a charge off? I've seen it done. And if you're ever in trouble with money, that is a smart thing to do. Because what happens in many instances is you are now in formal collections. Your debt's been charged off and sold, probably written off as well. And now the predatory collection industry, not predatory, I mean they're predatory by nature because they're coming after you for something that you agreed to do and didn't do, like it or not. And I had I didn't have a lot of sympathy for people who abused credit cards because you've got to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't play with money. It's just how it is. You know, you made a decision. You got to figure it out. All right? But if you have to optimize your situation, charging off the card usually results in a much smaller balance than you otherwise would have. If the card sits, if the account status stays in default for a long period of time, or you just make the minimum payment for 2 years, that's not good. Because you are just growing and growing and growing your balance. It's not getting smaller. And you are basically financing the entire credit card industry, right? I mean, that's what they count on, is people making these minimum payments, which don't even cover the interest they have. And so the debt just continues to grow and grow, and they think, well, I'm just going to keep paying it until life gets better or something. It's not going to happen. It's worse than stupid. So you don't want to do that. If you can't pay your credit card off, yeah, I don't know. I've never even been in that situation, so I can't. One time I charged a Snickers bar and forgot about it, and it cost me like $7. That's the only, after the interest, because I forgot to make a payment or whatever. You gotta learn from it. You gotta own that mistake. One time I forgot to make a payment, or it didn't go through when I clicked it, or I needed to click one more time yes, and I didn't click the one more time yes, and I called them up and made a hoot and holler, and they forgave me for my blunder. Then you have situations like I had an infamous ordeal with a retail card. Retail cards are a little different, and they're not some of the best products you can get, like a JCPenney card, or in this case, Michael's. We did a big framing job. We got a discount if you put it on a credit card, right? And I said, fine. I'm going to pay it off and never use it again. Well, I sent a check through my bank's bill pay service. Did I just get on the right road? I hope so. I sent a check to I've done this drive so much now, it shouldn't even be an issue. So I've done this service. It mails a check, you can type in the address and send it off. It sends the check. It's worked without issue for a long time. The check goes, Michael's people, Comenity Bank, as it's called, they didn't have it. And so I get another statement in the mail saying I owe whatever it was, plus $50 in a fee for not making a payment, and then interest. I owed interest on top of that. I'm like, no. This is not going to happen. So I call the bank. The bank says, we can't tell you anything about this check. And I'm like, what? Can you tell me it's been mailed? Can't tell you that. What? And here's the best part. The money disappeared from my account, right? So it was essentially a money order. Wasn't actually a certified instrument, but the money was gone. I already paid it. So they're like, so I'm in a tough spot. Do I let the credit card company keep looking for the check, and hopefully they find it and cash it and all is well, or do I have the bank cancel the check, refund my money, and I try again? It was a very difficult decision because I didn't know what to do. And every day the interest just keeps piling on. And this is what happens when you screw around with credit card companies. It's just not worth it most of the time. Ramsey people, you gotta listen to those folks. They're telling you good advice for the average person. Good advice that I don't take as much as I should. So, anyways, long story short, somehow I paid these folks off. I know what happened. I paid them by phone. I said, all right, I'm going to give you, if you will waive the interest charges and the late fee, I will pay you the balance on the account. So I have to go to collections. It's a whole thing. I have to go talk to some other person, get approval for it. because I guess what happened was there was one more days of accrued interest or something. The interest forgiveness that they put on there was only good for so many days or something, and I don't know what happened, but it was like 1 day's worth of interest, and I was so upset when I said it was such a pain to call them. I'm just going to pay the $3 again through something, I don't remember. So they got $3 out of me. They probably did it on purpose just to screw with me, get some money for their time and hassle. You know, this is what you're dealing with. It's designed to be confusing. It's designed to be, even when I try to pay it, they make it so difficult. They're like, are you sure you want to pay? Are you really sure you want to pay? Are you sure you don't want to defer? Are you sure you don't want to buy something else? You know, the interfaces are not designed to be friendly to the people who promptly pay their card and want to keep a zero balance on the cards. Back to what I was saying. The credit card is charged off. That interest rate, in many instances, they stop charging the contract interest rate. I don't know why they do it. They don't have to, I'm pretty sure. But the 20% or whatever stops. They then revert, many companies revert then to the statutory pre-judgment interest rate, which can vary from less than 1% to 0 to 9%, right? I mean, it can be a lot, depending on the state and depending upon what the lobbyists have secured. Some states it's 0%. Some companies, even though they're entitled to that, don't even go after it. They don't ask for it. It's too confusing for their accounting systems. And so at that point, guess what? You have a 0% interest loan at this point in time, when it was supposed to be a lot more than that. Now, the marginal rate is still pretty high because you got fleeced, surely for some months, if you weren't paying the full thing off. But if in theory you took out a 0% interest card, bought yourself a nice vacation, and then at the end of the promotional rate, got your account charged off, you're still looking at a 0% interest note. Now you're going to get hounded. You could have your paycheck garnished. You have your bank account garnished. You talk about messing up your life. You might have bills being paid. You might lose your power bill getting direct deposit or automatically paid because of this garnishment, right? Some states will let a collector garnish before even a judgment is entered in certain circumstances. So you might not even have notice, and then your funds are seized. So it's not a great place to be. No, not so great. But if you can keep the wolves away, theoretically speaking, there's now. Don't get me wrong. When you do something like this, you are putting your credit in the toilet. You're not going to ever get. You will be punished severely by the powers that be when it comes to future debt instruments, credit qualifications. But you know what? Maybe that's what some people need. They need to have the ripcord pulled and just get away from that stuff. So being blackballed by credit card companies is maybe a blessing. I don't know. Who needs debt? So, what's the lesson? If you can't care of your credit card bills. Get them charged off. Quit paying the minimum payment for something that you're not going to pay off. It's just not going to, you're literally giving money away. Right? You think, well, this is my contractual duty. Well, guess what? The contract is in a state of breach at the point you stop making the minimum payment, right? How do you cure the breach? Well, there are lots of rights options. The most common is collection efforts to recover the sums. But even when that's done, a large portion of that gets given away to service vendors, and they are never made whole most of the time. Have I seen people get away? Yeah, I have. Because believe it or not, I used to say that there are no defenses to debt. But there are defenses to a debt lawsuit. Put it that way. And people can outmaneuver the game. They can get sneaky and cheeky. It's going to be over 40 minutes for this drive. That doesn't include the shuttle time, everything else. It's a long, boring myself. So, what are the defenses to a debt lawsuit? Documentation. One of the biggest nightmares we had during the foreclosure crisis was the inability of the mortgage electronic registration system to document a mortgage. How can you foreclose a mortgage if you can't find it? This is a problem. Actually, it was more of a crisis in itself, because the rules of evidence did not accommodate this. But if you don't find a workaround, these banks would lose billions of dollars from their own stupidity once again over it. So, what do? You have to be able to produce documentation. So what happens? You figure it out. But the same thing applies to consumer debts as well. They have to show that there's a contract. And that's part of why they don't go after these interest rates. Because where is your contract for your credit card? Do you have a copy of it? Did you sign it? No. Sometimes you do. If you're on the keypad at a JCPenney and they have you sign this huge document at the bottom, you've never not read it. It's not even a meaningful signature because it's called a contract of adhesion. Contract of adhesion is a contract entered into usually by a large group of individuals on a separate basis using static terms that are not negotiable. If you cannot change a term of the contract, it is a condition of your doing business. It's a contract of adhesion. You adhere to it, you're forced into it. Courts are not very kind towards these things. I once had one. There is what's called a card member agreement. And when you sign, used to be on every keypad and receipt, when you sign that receipt at the restaurant or something, say underneath it, I agree to comply with the card member agreement. And that is your contract. Every single purchase you make. Today, we've got tap pay. It's not as onerous as it once was, but the concept is the same. The card member agreement that you've probably never seen or read, that is what you're governed by. So some people would read this agreement and say, you know what? This agreement says that in disputes, you have to pay for arbitration. So guess what? I want to arbitrate this dispute. And you're going to pay $1,000 to AAA to open up an arbitration file, Mr. Bank, and you're going to pay for all the costs of the arbitration, and then we can take it there. You can't go to court. You can't drag me to this court date. Well, guess what? That puts the bank in the position of saying, you know what, we actually don't want to arbitrate under our own arbitration clause that we put in our contract of adhesion. Are you kidding me right now? Well, here's the thing. The arbitration clause is basically, it's designed to arbitrate any dispute you have except a money dispute. In other words, either party can elect arbitration of their credit card issue as long as it's basically not an issue of paying the account. And it's worded in a way that is not good and problematic. So, you're actually arguing so both parties are arguing to enforce the arbitration agreement. But the arbitration agreement, as it's written, means something different to both sides. They say, look, this says we arbitrate disputes if we choose to. You have this language that dances around the issue saying, well, not in certain instances, but the way it's written is kind of confusing. We construe vagueness against the drafter, which means the drafter of the adhesion contract, we punish you when it's a tie. Furthermore, we don't like adhesion contracts generally, so we're going to punish you if there's a tie. So who wins? One time, this clause was so small, I had to get a magnifying glass in front of the judge to show it to her. This was not a good day. Be careful, folks.